Today we're going to look at some of the basic definitions from Chapter 1. We're not going to cover all of them. We're just going to look at the ones that students struggle the most with. And we're going to start on page 13 with discrete and continuous data. Discrete data means there's jumps in between the data. Continuous data means it runs forever with no breaks. An example of continuous would be something like the speedometer on your car. You know, it swings as you speed up. It's a continuous swing. If you had a car that had a digital dash and it had a number display for the speedometer, that would be discrete because it's got numbers 54, 55, 56, things like that. So continuous would be dials, discrete would be numbers. The next definitions that we're going to look at are on page 15, and they are the different levels of measurement. Students get these mixed up all the time. We have ratio, interval, ordinal, and nominal. So let's look at the definitions here. Ratio. There is a natural zero starting point, and ratios are meaningful. And they give an example of distance. 0 means 0 miles. And you can't go negative. There's a starting point. 0 is 0. You drive to work. That's a distance. That's a number. Has a 0 starting point. Differences between them are meaningful. However, an interval, it says the differences are meaningful, but there's no natural 0 starting point. So what that deals with is something like temperature. Temperature has no real 0. It has 0 degrees, but you can go below 0. As we know, we can go -3, -4 degrees below 0. So 0 does not mean no heat. 0 means it's just 0. So you can go below 0, right? You can go below the number 0. So if you can go below 0, then it's classified as interval. Ordinal, categories are ordered, but differences can't be found or are meaningless. So in an ordinal, we're dealing with categories, so not numbers. We're looking at categories. And the example that they give you is ranks of colleges in U.S. News and World Report. So ordinal means we can organize them. We can do some sort of ranking system. We can distinguish between one's better than the other. So if it's rankable and we're dealing with categories, it's ordinal. Nominal is categories only, but data cannot be arranged in any ordering scheme. That'd be like eye color. There's no way I can say blue eyes are better than green eyes or brown eyes. They're just completely random. It's just what color you have. You can't categorize them in anything like that. They're just colors of eyes, so they can't be ranked. Next, we're going to look at the different sampling methods. And page 29 deals with these. And there's a nice graphical picture on page 29. We're going to look at the definitions and go through an example of each one. Random sampling. In random sampling, each member of the population has an equal chance of being selected. So you just start picking, people out of a phone book, call those people, ask them survey. Okay? That's random sampling. Simple random sampling, a sample of n subject is selected in such a way that every possible sample of the same size n has the same chance of being chosen. That would be like I take 100 numbers out of a phone book, and I'm going to sample them 2 at a time. So I take these 2, sample them, these 2, sample them. So I'm doing it 2 at a time. I can get all the numbers out, but it's random on which 2 I pick. I just do 2 at a time out of 100. 2 divides evenly by 100, so all the different possible groupings of 2 are there. The next one is systematic. You select some starting point, and then you select every kth element in the population. Systematic is usually how industries work with quality control. They start with maybe the 5th one, and they pick every 5th item that comes in and check them for quality. Convenient sampling just means it's easy to get. Set up a booth at the mall, ask people that walk by. Stratified means you break them into two different subgroups, like men, women. In this case, the example is Democrats, Republicans. And then you survey people from each subgroup. Cluster is you divide the population into sections and then randomly select some of those clusters and then choose all members of the selected cluster. So in that case, you look at cities and you pick a city out of, let's say, 100 different cities. You pick that city and you survey every single person in that city. Stratified means you pick a city but only pick part of the people. So cluster means you pick a city, you pick everybody in that city. Stratified means you only do part of it. Then we have prospective, retrospective, and cross-sectional. Retrospective and prospective sometimes get students confused. Retrospective means we look in the past. And so that would be we would look back at old data, like cancer rates from the 50s and 60s. We see how long people survive from there. So we look in the past. Prospective would mean we start at like 2005 and we see how long people will survive in the future after they have certain types of cancer. So you've got to look past 2005, past today, because people are still alive. That concludes most of the information from Chapter 1. This is a short video, but it should cover most of what you need to know.